I'm here with Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Alexander, let's talk about the Iowa caucus disaster. And let's just get right into it because there's a lot to discuss. And the way I'm looking at it is that I don't think this is a software glitch. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I think this thing we're looking at, scam Bernie, cheat Bernie 2.0 because they did it in 2016. It looks like they're trying to figure out a way to scam me in 2020. Of course, that's just my opinion. You're going to chime in, Alexander. Let's give some background, though, as to this Shadow Inc. app created by Shadow Inc., this app that is doing the voting calculations and that it's crashed. The New York Times is already running cover, Alexander, saying that it's, the human error, and because the people that were working, tallying up the votes and working with this app in Iowa weren't trained properly, so on and so forth. So the New York Times is already running cover for Shadow Inc. But the Shadow Inc. app that the DNC paid a little bit over, I believe, $60,000 or $65,000 for it to get developed so that it could calculate the Iowa caucus voting. There's a technology firm, Alexander, that was created in January of last year. And it was after a data and messaging service called Groundbase was acquired by a Democrat nonprofit called ACRONYM. Now, the interesting part about these two companies is that you had the nonprofit, which added the business side to it, and this Groundbase company added the technology side of it. So once these two companies came together, they were able to launch this Shadow Inc. app. And Shadow's CEO, Gerard Niemira, product manager Ahna, and COO James Hickey, they all worked on the Hillary for America campaign. They also worked in the Obama campaign. And to make matters even worse, make it even more murky at least, Democrat candidate Pete Buttigieg's campaign contributed $50,000 to the creation of this app. And to make it even worse, Alexander, Pete Buttigieg actually claimed victory. As all this chaos is going on, he jumped on the opportunity that 0 votes were tallied to come out and say that he believes he had won the Iowa caucus. Get into the story.
Well, first of all, before anybody comes and says to us that, we're being fanciful and far-fetched, I would remind our viewers that in 2015, when there were the Iowa caucuses then, it is now widely believed that actually Bernie Sanders won more votes than Hillary Clinton in the Iowa caucuses, and that the results were distorted to give the contrary impression. In other words, the actual vote count was not published, only the delegate count, which was made to look more favorable to Hillary Clinton. So lots of people are going to be joining up the dots in exactly the way that you have done. They will be saying this is a repeat of 2015, that this company that has been involved in
2016.
2016. I'm so sorry. This is 2016 all over again. That we've now got all of this being done all over again, and that the target is the same person. It's Bernie Sanders. All the opinion polls, or rather, some of the opinion polls, were showing that he was in the lead just before the caucuses. One particular opinion poll apparently was not published. The so-called golden poll, so I've heard. And again, there are suspicions that Bernie Sanders was leading in that poll. And of course, we see that the people who were in control of this app are Bernie Sanders' opponents. Now, it could be human error. I mean, I don't know. I'm not the investigator. I'm not monitoring all this. But given what happened last time, given what happened in 2016, lots and lots of people, and I am one of those people, I should make that very clear, find it very remarkable, yet again, that the same problems that we're now beset with, all these problems in Iowa, when all the indications were prior to the poll that Bernie Sanders, who the Democratic Party, or rather the Democratic National Committee, does not want to see as the party's leader and candidate in the 2020 election, when all the indications are that he's come out on top. And as you correctly say, we have Mr. Buttigieg coming forward and saying that he's actually won. And more to the point, there are apparently very, very well-sourced rumors that Joe Biden, who is the party's favorite, or was, the establishment favorite, has come forth. And of course, that fact is not being, published. So at the very least, the optics of this are disastrous. And I have to say, I can't help but think that it's more than just optics. I mean, I'm not saying this definitely, I'm just stating an opinion. Anybody who wishes can come forward and argue with that opinion. They can, they can try and persuade me. I'm always open to persuasion that, it was some entirely different cause, some accident or other. But I look at the past history. I look at the attitudes of the DNC towards Bernie Sanders. I note that the impeachment proceedings, which we've just been through, seem to have been in part timed to keep Bernie Sanders away from Iowa so that he couldn't actually go there and actually, campaign as he might have done had these, this extraordinary impeachment never happened. And, I am drawing the same sort of conclusions that I think millions of other people, including millions of Americans and millions of Democrats, are also concluding. So that's all I'm going to say about it. I mean, if the Democratic Party want to provide a clear and transparent explanation of what went wrong, I will look at it. But at this moment in time, everything that's happened is such as to reinforce my suspicions. And why, by the way, was an app of this kind devised a tool for what is a very small vote in a very small place where a hand count could have done this very much more efficiently and quickly. I mean, it's a smaller place than many English constituencies where we regularly have by-elections. And why, if you were going to have an app, would you commission a company like the one you just described to provide it? I mean, it seems to me none of this is very convincing, and it all looks extremely bad. Now, as I said, if people want to come forward and argue, they're welcome to. They can come to our threads, they can send us emails, they can do whatever they like. But those are my suspicions.
All right, I've got so much to say here, yeah. But let's begin with, and I want you to comment on what I'm going to say, and it's kind of like just a stream of consciousness that right now is going through my head. Number one, what about the name, calling this app Shadow? Couldn't they have picked a better name if you're going to be a polling and a vote counting app? You call it Shadow. I mean, the Shadow Inc. That by itself is that's just bad optics.
It's terrible. It's terrible optics. And all I'm going to say something else. All right, it would be terrible. It would be absolutely awful if this was a rigged thing. As I personally at this moment in time think if you can persuade me that it's not good, but it would be terrible if it was rigged. And it would be terrible if it was not rigged. It would be terrible if it was rigged. And then you go around, calling this company that makes it, you call it Shadow. And, it would be terrible. It'd be terrible incompetence. Donald Trump is already saying it. How can you trust these people to run the country if they can't even manage a caucus in a small place like Iowa and, Des Moines or, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that name right.
Well, Trump has already jumped on this.
Yeah, of course
here's his tweet. The Democrat caucus is an unmitigated disaster. Nothing works, just like they ran the country. Remember the $5 billion Obamacare website that should have cost 2% of that. The only person that can claim a very big victory in Iowa last night is Trump. His next tweet, Alexander, said, "Big win for us in Iowa tonight." Thank you. There you go. So he's jumped on this.
Yeah, he got 97% of the vote in his own caucus, and that was done effortlessly. It was done, with complete efficiency. It was much simpler voting system. None of these peculiar apps, none of these breakdowns, nothing wrong. The Democrats can't even run their own caucus. or so we are being told. I mean, incompetence, or if you like, or rigging, whichever it is, it's awful. I have to say, on the basis of what I'm seeing at the moment, and on the basis of the past history, I think it's rigging. And given what happened before, don't blame me if I think that. Show me that I'm wrong, but don't come round and say, I'm being fanciful. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the Russia did it narrative to come
Well,
out.
I gather Donald Trump has also tweeted that.
Yeah.
He said, before very long, the Democrats are going to be saying it's all the Russians who are responsible for this mess. I mean,
this looks so bad following the impeachment disaster.
Yeah.
The fact that they couldn't handle the impeachment hoax, this whole Ukraine gate hoax, and they looked utterly useless during that entire 3, 4, 5 week impeachment trial. Now you have this coming out of the Democrat Party. They're always complaining about the Russian hacking. Like you said, why didn't they just go to paper ballots and stuff like that? Instead, they rely on this app funded by the Pete Buttigieg campaign, developed by Hillary Clinton staffers who have now closed all their Twitter accounts, all these guys. So they've gone shadow, in other words, Alexander. So they've gone missing. So no one can get an explanation out of them. There goes the transparency. The New York Times, the fact that the New York Times jumped on this so quickly to blame it pretty much on the stupidity of the human beings running the campaign process. That's basically what the New York Times said, is that they were stupid. They just couldn't figure out this app. So blame it on them.
They've only had a year.
I thought that's astonishing. There you go. And I come back to my main point on all of this, which is, where is Bernie? Because everyone says he's a non-establishment guy, and that's what makes him so similar to Trump. Okay, Trump is really non-establishment in that he wasn't a politician. Bernie has been a politician for 40 plus years. He knows the system, but the system obviously doesn't want him. There's no doubt about it. The Democrats don't want him. Wall Street doesn't want him. Everyone's scared to death of having him be president because of his platform. And good for him in that he's probably the only candidate that has expressed his platform in a coherent way. I mean, people know what he stands for. But saying that, the difference between Bernie and Trump is that Bernie is he's worked for the establishment for 40 plus years. He knows how it works. He's been getting screwed by it over and over and over again. And yet he does nothing. He decides to remain part of this DNC machine, this Democrat machine. In 2016, he campaigned on behalf of Hillary Clinton hard. I mean, he worked hard and tirelessly for her. And here he is, once again, getting screwed by the Democrats. The difference is that Trump, if this had happened in 2016 to Trump would have crucified them. He would have been on Twitter destroying everyone who's coming after him. Bernie has remained silent. Maybe he's going to say something. Maybe he's going to come out swinging. But this is the problem that I have with Bernie's tone, is that he doesn't seem to fight. He just kind of sits there and it looks like he's just taking it.
Well, exactly. Well, this reminds me very much, if I may say, from a British angle, of Jeremy Corbyn, who was the target of all kinds of allegations, was supposed to be the non-system candidate and was constantly trying to appease the system, which never accepted him. I have to say, I am very, very skeptical of the extent to which Bernie Sanders actually is the anti-establishment candidate. As you absolutely rightly said, he supported Hillary Clinton in 2016 after he failed to get the nomination, or was cheated out of the nomination.
He was cheated out of it. I mean, plain and simple, he was cheated.
Cheated out of the nomination. And of course, he also supported the whole Russiagate hoax. I mean, he was an active supporter of that ludicrous and ridiculous hoax. And I have to say, if he doesn't come out swinging very soon and say, this is all absolutely unacceptable, and, I'm clearly, being, as you correctly said, screwed all over again, because that's how it looks to me, then all I can say is, I mean, he's not fit for the presidency, because he's going to have all these people against him. They'll be working to undermine him. I mean, you're talking about Donald Trump. Let's never forget, Donald Trump was very unpopular with the establishment of the Republican Party. In 2016, they were all against him. Now they all have realized they have no choice but to support him. That didn't happen by chance. It happened because Donald Trump does exactly the kind of things that you say. He comes out fighting. He actually takes the battle to his opponents within the Republican Party. And the result is that he beats them because he's got the electoral base, the Republican electoral base behind him. And the result is he's now completely won over the party he leads. Bernie doesn't do that. So inevitably, unavoidably, the party is still working against him. But, I don't, pretend to read into Bernie's mind. I do just wonder how, anti-establishment he really is. I mean, if either he's not anti-establishment at all, as I rather am starting to suspect, or he is very weak, as Jeremy Corbyn was. And, either way, it seems to me, even if he becomes the Democratic Party's candidate, he's going to be absolutely, steamrolled over by Donald Trump come the election. Because if he can't fight people within his party who are doing these sort of things, what chance does he have against Donald Trump?
Yeah, I agree. He let Hillary Clinton walk all over him. Recently, he let Elizabeth Warren walk all over him.
Yeah.
He's letting the DNC screw him twice. I'm pulling my hair and I'm just saying, where is Bernie's fight? I mean, I know that he fights for certain things, certain policy issues, and that's great. Yeah. But outside of the policy issues, you also have to fight the people that are coming after you, and you have to be vocal about it. I mean, they're going after you. They're looking to destroy you. Come on, man, get out there and start calling these people out. These people in your party.
Can I just say there are never any votes for niceness in politics. I mean, if you try to be nice, you will lose. I mean, that is the iron law of politics. It's the iron law of politics in Britain. It's the iron law of politics in the United States. Even more, dare I say, in the United States, it strikes me, than in Britain. If you won't fight your own corner, you will lose. And you deserve to lose, actually, because the whole point about politics is doing exactly what you said. You come out fighting. You can say all sorts of wonderful things about trade, about workers' rights, about healthcare, about student debt, and all of that. But if you're not prepared to fight for yourself at the end of the day, what will you fight for? Will you really go against the Democratic Party on an issue like, say, student debt or trade? I mean, I think
how will you fight the Pentagon? How will you fight the war machine? How will you fight the neocons? Well, how will you fight all these people if you become president? I mean, and we know how strong, how deep, how pervasive the swamp is.
Correct. Absolutely. How? Well, you won't. As I said, there is no benefit. I'm sorry to say this in niceness. I mean, we mustn't confuse nice people with good people. You can be good and strong and you can fight your corner, but being nice and trying to sort of appease, an unappeasable monster is hopeless. There is no compromise with the swamp.
I always said, Alexander, to wrap it up, I always said it. In 2016, Bernie had a real chance to do his own party, to create a viable third progressive party. He had that opportunity and he folded into the Hillary Clinton orb, the Hillary Clinton blob. And Hillary Clinton screwed him over and over and over again. And she even made fun of him 2 weeks ago. She even made fun of him again.
Absolutely. I mean, she was horrible about him. Absolutely horrible about him, saying nobody liked him, that he'd been a useless senator. And, again, he sits back, he lets it all happen. He doesn't take the battle back to her. He lets, as you correctly say, Elizabeth Warren say the most appalling things, make up a story, because I've no doubt that story about, him saying that women couldn't win the presidency was completely made up. He instead of coming and going after not just Elizabeth Warren, but also CNN, and the media, he just sits back and lets it all happen. And especially if you're running an insurgency, which is what he's supposedly doing, that will fail. So, but, if I may say, the one thing I've got to make, the one person who must be laughing is Donald Trump. Well, he is laughing. And it seems to me that the Democrats once more are doing everything within their power to get Donald Trump reelected.
Yeah. Well, I think this
Bernie
incident will hurt Buttigieg, actually. If you want to know the truth, I think he made a mistake by coming out and claiming victory. But anyway, that's beside the point. Anyway, this is craziness.
Why bother to have votes in that case? Why just come along and say, or counts even? Why not just declare victory?
Maybe that was smart of him. Maybe he sees such chaos. He says, maybe if I just come out and just claim to win, they'll just give it to me. Who knows? I mean, it's just so messed up. The Democratic Party, the DNC is just in utter shambles.
I mean, as I said, Donald Trump must be licking his chops at the moment. I mean, this is absolutely the most. I mean, if he'd wanted a debacle by the Democrats, he's got one. He's got one in the Congress. He's now got one in Iowa. I mean, these people, they couldn't run a whelk storm, frankly. I mean, it's just an absolute disaster. Even if this is rigged, as I think it is, I mean, it's rigged so stupidly and incompetently and publicly that, as I said, it's just. I mean, all I can say is, as I said, they must be working overtime. There must be a sort of group within.
They're laughing in our face. They create names like Shadow Inc. They know what they're doing. They just can't hold back.
Well, I know
their giddiness to steal and to cheat. They just can't hold it back. That they come up with names like Shadow Inc. I mean, come on, guys.
I don't. But as I said, I come back to this. It's a small place. Why hold? Why have these weird and wonderful apps at all? Yeah. I mean, you could do it. You could, a hand count is one, more reliable. Two, capable of being checked. You can have proper recounts if there's a problem. And three, it would be over by now.
All right.
It seems to me bizarre. Anyway, there we go.
Anyway, let's see what happens. All right, Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Thank you very much, guys. If you like this video, click on the subscribe button down below. Click on the notification bell and smash that like button. And go to the Duran shop, pick up some merchandise. We've got mugs, we've got shirts, and you don't need any apps.
We don't need any apps at all.
Actually, it would be good to have an app, but go to the website. You can buy it from there.
You can indeed. I mean, we've made it very simple, but as I said, but we've not just made it simple. We've actually made sure that our products are, have great integrity and solidity and are real, and there's never any question about them. So we have our magnificent magic mugs, like the one I'm drinking tea from at the moment, which, as you can see, is strong and solid and light and beautiful to hold, and it's a marvelous porcelain, and it keeps your tea hot all the tea that you have, or you can have coffee, or you can have hot chocolate, or if you want to have beer instead, that'll keep it cold. And we have a magnificent range of magic mugs, and our viewers who have bought them absolutely love them. They think that they are fantastic, which they are. So we've got magic mugs. We've also got shirts, like long sleeve t-shirt I'm wearing at the moment, which is fairly cold, so it's perfect for this kind of London weather. But you can also find short sleeve t-shirts, you can find v-neck shirts, you can find polo shirts, all 100% cotton, all of excellent, first class quality. You will also find other things like hoodies, hats, stickers, great things in our shop. We made a conscious decision to go for quality, because that's what we feel shows our respect for our viewers. So you support us by buying these things from the shop, but you also get amazing things if you buy them. You have them for yourself and for your friends if you want to buy them for your friends and your family. So come to our shop, buy these amazing things, Own them for yourself. Support the Duran. Alex will tell you how it's done. And as I said, no complicated, overcomplicated apps that don't work to get in your way.
All right, Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Thank you very much. TheDuranShop.com. The link is in the description box down below. Take care, everybody.